successful, it's going to be incredibly challenging. You're always going to be thinking you're not good enough or you can't do it because people on the outside are telling you those exact things. They're telling you you can't do it, it's never been done before, and you don't know what you're doing. And you need to take all those thoughts and harbor them deep in your soul and use them as motivation so that you can push forward and propel yourself into a land never seen before. It's going to be all about the mental battle, all about the mind games. You're going to have to make sure that you know that you can do whatever you want. You know that you can do whatever it takes when it comes down to the line.
You can choose. We all get to choose our life stories, and it's the choices that define us, not our gifts.
That you are able to push through that line, break through that wall that you've never been able to get over before, because you know in your heart of hearts you're capable of doing anything the world throws at you. You can achieve any goal you want, overcome any obstacle because you put your mind to it and you're focused and you want to do it because you know you can. You know you're capable of it, and you just can't fall into those tricks of your mind telling you that you're not able, you're not worthy, you can't do something. You need to totally ignore that and focus on what you can do and how you can do it even better to become one of the greatest to ever do it. Regardless what that is, you want to focus on being the best every single day, so that way you can make strides and leaps and bounds as time goes on to becoming one of the greatest at whatever you want it to be and truly living out your goals and aspirations.
When you are 80 years old, the telling that will be most compact and meaningful will be the series of choices you have made.
We have, if you take baseline energy usage on Earth and just compound it at a few percent a year for just a few hundred years, you have to cover the entire Earth's surface in solar cells. So that's not going to happen. So we have two choices. We either go out into space or we switch over to a civilization of stasis. And personally, I do not like the idea of stasis. You know, we have, our grandchildren and their grandchildren will live in a much better world if they can continue to advance and develop and use more energy and all of the things that we've enjoyed for hundreds of years as a civilization of growth. I don't even really believe in stasis. I think things are either growing or shrinking. I think stasis is highly unusual and real life doesn't exist. I don't even think liberty is consistent with the idea of stasis. I mean, if you get real stasis, somebody's going to have to tell you how many kids you can have, how much energy you can use. There'll be all kinds of things that just aren't consistent with liberty and freedom.
I first talked to my wife, who is sitting here in the audience, and she had married a relatively stable, goofy, but still relatively stable person working at a Wall Street firm. I worked at a quantitative hedge fund, and this was a hard decision. And I was looking for the right framework in which to make that kind of important decision. And the right framework I found is a regret minimization framework. And so that's just a nerdy way of saying that you want to project yourself to age 80 and then think back over your life. And if you're 80, what are you want to minimize the number of regrets you have throughout that period of time. I think this is something a lot of people do, maybe subconsciously. Very few people probably name it regret minimization framework because most people are healthier than that. But it was a very clear way for me to think about making that kind of life decision. And the way it helped was I thought, okay, if I go do this thing and participate in this thing called the internet that I genuinely believe is going to be a big deal. Tomorrow, in a very real sense, your life, the life you author from scratch on your own, begins. How will you use your gifts? What choices will you make? Will inertia be your guide, or will you follow your passions? Will you follow dogma, or will you be original? Will you choose a life of ease, or a life of service and adventure? Will you wilt under criticism, or will you follow your convictions? Will you bluff it out when you're wrong, or will you apologize? Will you guard your heart against rejection, or will you act when you fall in love? Will you play it safe, or will you be a little bit swashbuckling? When it's tough, will you give up, or will you be relentless? Will you be a cynic, or will you be a builder? Will you be clever at the expense of others, or will you be kind? I will hazard a prediction. When you are 80 years old and in a quiet moment of reflection, narrating for only yourself the most personal version of your life story, the telling that will be most compact and meaningful will be the series of choices
you have made.
You don't choose your passions choose you. And I would always advise young people, actually anyone, to get in touch with what you're really passionate about. And it's a gift to have a passion. Some people are lucky they have more than one passion, they have 2 or 3, and that gives you energy. You can't force a passion on yourself. It just doesn't work. You can try, but it's unlikely to succeed. Take pride in your choices, not your gifts. This is something that I think is super important for young people to understand, and for parents to preach to young people. It's really easy for a talented young person to take pride in their gifts. They can say, I'm really athletic, or I'm really smart, or I'm really good at math, and that's fine. You should celebrate your gifts. You should be happy, but you can't be proud of them, because they're gifts after all. They were given to you. What you can be proud of is your choices. How did you decide to use your gifts? Did you study hard? Did you work hard? Did you practice? The people who really excel combine gifts and hard work.